You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss. Chris Voss.
Hey folks, it's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, our latest things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, for over 16 years and 2,300 episodes, we bring in the Chris Voss Show, and we're bringing you more. We're going to double that number, triple it. I don't know. We're going to do a couple more episodes or so at the very least. Anyway, guys, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today, an amazing young man. He's returning the show. He appeared with us, I think, a year or two ago. Robert Bell is the CEO of 2B3D Inc., a Web3 gaming company out of Newport Beach, California, working on Web3 games and fighting veteran suicide using veteran gaming and VR as tools. Welcome to the show. Robert, how are you?
Doing amazing. It's good to see you again, Chris.
It's good to see you again, too. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Super easy. Our co-founder bought this back in 93 knowing he was going to build this. So it's just a four digit, but it's the number 2, the letter B, the number 3, the letter D. So like to be or not to be, 3D. 2B3D. .com. It's just 2B3D.com.
So give us a 30,000 overview what you guys do there.
So we are a Web3 gaming company, right? So we're really into the blockchain and all the new exciting stuff that's coming out. We're tying it all together. A lot of AI, and we're currently working on 5 projects right now running simultaneously. The overhead is we're launching our podcast. We've just filmed about 10 videos with some really cool people. We're excited about that. That should be start at the end of this week. We'll start releasing some, which has been fun. Obviously, I don't have 16 years and 900 billion like you. They won't be quite as good as the Chris Voss Show, but we're starting. Yeah. And then we're super excited. It's been a 5-year journey, and we're launching our own token, which will be the economy of the entire ecosystem. We have our Actionverse Storm Riders, which is a surf, skate, snowboard, Web3, think Tony Hawk on steroids, because you'll be able to play and own the items inside the game. And then we've got the football game, which is like a space age Tecmo Super Bowl that is we've got an author on our team that's just written a whole backstory, and each team is amazing. And then we've got our MedQuest, which is what we were on last time about when we were just out of the Forbes article. We're using tools in VR to help fight veteran suicide. And that's us, the podcast, token, and Astro Bowl, Storm Riders, and MedQuest. So I can go into those, but that's...
Yeah, let's start with the token launch then. Tell us about that and how it works. And I know you do the veteran benefit thing. So is that tied into the token launch?
Yeah, it will be. So the token's going to be a great way for us to give back, right, and help veterans in that way. With Web3, there's all sorts of instantaneous gratification, where let's say we do an NFT collection, or a unique digital item is what we're calling them, but we do some sort of a collection. We can tie a piece of that automatically sends money, a portion of that, to the cause of the day. And we're going to be working heavily in the veteran with a lot of the nonprofits working with that on that. But the token launch, we've had our finger on the pulse. We've got a lot of, our team is phenomenal. And one of our head guys was the president of Catalyst for Cardano. So we were leaning into Cardano. Solana kind of took off big with these meme coins, and then had some, up and down going there. Avalanche and Sui, which is a new big one. One of those 4 is what we're coming out on. We're not naming it yet. We're going to announce it probably within the next 3 weeks. And then 60 days out, we will be launching our pre-sale to the public. And then following that, we'll be launching the public sale and going live with it.
So there's an early private sale then?
Yes. Wow. So there's
a
pre-sale internal. We're doing the friends and family, but external public, it'll be about 60 days out. We'll start announcing it if you follow us on Twitter or any of our socials. Actually, just throw that out there. It's 2b3d.com/links. Just 2b3d/links.com. /links, and it'll take you to all of our socials. Right now we're hitting Telegram really big. It's going well, and Twitter, and we're going to open up Discord in a week.
Oh,
and,
there you go. Discord.
Yeah, so we're pumping it. We're in a huge sprint. So I appreciate you bringing me on.
We appreciate you following up with us because we've been wondering what's been going on these last 2 years. We're like, what happened to that one company? Tell us about. I guess you got a podcast you're putting out. Do you want to give us a little in depth of what you'll be talking about on the podcast, the kind of guests you'll have, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. When you do watch the podcast, you'll see the intro. We have very talented artists that put pretty much everything the podcast is about. So we have a Bitcoin symbol with a bull running through it. We have a football player, a surfer, a skater, a snowboarder, a music note. What's special about this company that we have is, co-founder Andrew Bjornson, he had started a snowboard company back in the early 90s called 5150. It went out to be one of the top snowboard companies in the world, but he knew he wanted to build a world of gaming. He just knew he did that. He was in the Nintendo magazine at age 10 for the highest score on Indiana Jones. And so he just knew. So he ended up selling the company, selling his house and going to school to do this. And in the middle of getting his master's degree and multiple bachelor's degree and, to become the guru that he is, he joined the Army. And that's where the veteran part comes into play. So while in the Army, he was a combat medic. And there's like the Purple Heart in the combat medic arena is the Combat Medic Award, which means while under fire, he stayed and he saved lives. And so you earn that award, award the hard way. And came back. And so then we kind of tied it all together on the website. You'll see Huntington Beach it's a video. We made a digital twin, and that's kind of where we're starting the surf, skate, snowboard. But the reason why I brought this up is through that whole snowboard era, and both of us were on varsity surf team back in high school, we became really good friends with a lot of the pro athletes from the 90s, snowboard, skate, surf. And this CMO of Oakley is actually on our team now. And he signed up, Sean White, like all the big names. And so we decided if we were going to build something, why not bring in the core guys. So we have several gold medalist Olympians, world champions, X game winners, all already on board. A lot of them are on the website now. And with that comes their brands, right? So we've got the real core brands that are in the game. And what's special about Web3, they're not just, you can go in the game and you can buy a shirt. My son, buys all this stuff. Every day he's asking, Mom, can I have $5? Dad, can I have $5? And he's buying something like a hat for his character. But in Web3, you can buy that. And if you don't want to play the game anymore, you spent $3,000 on stuff. It's on the blockchain, right? So you can actually go sell it or trade it for something else in a new game. And they're also coming out to where they're making games connect. So we're building our stuff in that way to where hopefully in the future you'll be able to walk out of the Actionverse into somebody else's game wearing the same hat. But for the athletes, what they love about it is because they have their core brands, not only do you get the digital item, but you can also buy the real shirt or the real snowboard and have a matching set. So they get their kick on that. So that's fun stuff.
Fun stuff. So it'll be great to play the games. Now, are the games going to be available on certain platforms like Steam or other places, or do they need to go through your website? How does that work?
So the first game that we're doing is Astro Bowl, which in the same aspect that we did with surfing, they are separate companies umbrellaed under 2B3D. So Astro Bowl, our vice president is two-time Super Bowl champion Anthony Smith from the Steelers. And he's bringing on multiple NFL, ex-NFL players. We've been in talks with a lot of the big ones, but we've got about 12 signed up now. And the way we're running it is each team is managed by an NFL players. So there's 32 teams like the NFL, but they're all space age. And I mean, when you start seeing this stuff, I think a little bit of it is released on Twitter, but it blows your mind. But what we're going to do with that one is we're going to make a demo version that should be available on the cell phone, which is not the way we're running the whole platform. But this will be our first game, Web3 game, where you're actually using our token on cell phone. And we're looking for a 6 to 8 month release on that. Okay. But ultimately, all of it, you should be able to play it on your new Nintendo, new PlayStation, your computer, and multiple will be in VR, with all the goggles. So,
one time you guys were using VR, I think you maybe still are, to help veterans and stuff for the gaming. Yeah. How does that really help the veterans and stuff and all that good stuff?
I call this like just an amazing fun project, but at a certain point it became a passion project. Mm-hmm. And that's where, once again, Andy had left, he went to the Army and came back and, he had a doctor's appointment. It was 60 days out. You wait, you go to the doctor's appointment and then the doctor didn't show. No one called. I mean, they're so behind on everything with the VA, it's like you go home. Some of these people are looking to take their lives. And as I was doing this, we started bringing on the same with the action sports and the football. We have, 35-year colonel in the company, all these different people we're talking to wounded warriors and all these people. They say 22 push-ups a day was a slogan, right? But when you get deeper and you start meeting these people, you find out that they're not registering if they died of a drug overdose, or they're not counting that as a suicide. If they're in the military, they can't say how they died for 2 years. So they're putting the numbers more at 76 a day. And I remember I was on a Zoom call, and that number started coming out. And to me, it was like, yeah, that's a lot of people. But when I just remember I kind of drifted off and started writing 76 times 7 times 4. And I started working. I'm like, this is crazy. Right. So it's so many of the people that went to go fight for us, and now they're home and they're taking their own lives. So we started getting, involved in these conversations. One of our team members, he does the social media for the National Guard, and he's just really knowledgeable in it. And he had a lot of studies. Right. So one study shows that if you can get into a conversation with somebody that's already determined, I'm going to take my life now, within 5 minutes of the act, it's a 95% success rate of talking them down. It's like a huge deal. So some of the, they might call the telephone number, but our thing is, if they could put these goggles on their head and immediately be in a room with other veterans to talk to, it would be like an immediate transition from you figure somebody's in their house with beer cans everywhere, dark room, the gun, the pills, ready to take their life. And now, boom, they're on the beach in Huntington Beach. There's a few other guys saying, hey, I've been where you're at. Let's talk for a minute. So we started with that. We started working with companies that have solutions that help reduce the symptoms of PTSD, that help, a lot of different projects out there that are, there's a lot of love, but how do you get them to everybody? Yeah. And so what we found, just like the digital with Huntington Beach, that you see on the website, we can pretty much duplicate anything, right? So that's how we did the Forbes and Bloomberg article. We went in, and the group, it wasn't us in particular, but it was the group out in Utah. They went and duplicated some stuff, and then we looked to gamify it. And so pretty much anything that's out there that can help, we can reach millions and millions and millions of people, rather than somebody going to an office and waiting for that doctor. And let alone the first step that we're going to be doing here is going to be therapy appointments. A lot of people, when they're in that depressed state, they don't want to get in their car and go to a doctor's office if they can just sit back and put on the goggles and have it. So I have a medical company, a referral company, and we've had a few of our doctors in that group that this is a plus for whoever did it, but they've recently allowed VR, just telemedicine. VR medicine is now able to be billed with insurance. People that have the insurance, they can start doing these visits from their house in VR, and it's going to be better as this goes. Get instant access, and then once they feel better, they can get out of the house and get back to normal life. But a lot of these guys are just when you get to the point where you're going to use a permanent solution for a temporary problem, we want to be there in the 5 minutes to stop that.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes it's just about talking to other people and sharing. And that's one thing that kind of puts people in a position of suicide, is they think they're alone in the world, and they think they're alone in their struggle. And a lot of times they isolate themselves, and, talking to other people, sharing and finding out. And we talk about this endlessly on the show. People come on and share their stories, their cathartic moments, the moments they were desperate and they thought that, they were the only one who had this problem in the world. And sharing and talking to someone really helps. I know sometimes it's hard, but like we say on the show, you find people that have the same sort of experience that they went through and how they dealt with it, and how they have a blueprint to get through, that they got through, weathered the storm with, and they can share it. And sometimes, it's just about talking and, like you say, communicating with other people, and, you find out that, hey, I'm not alone in this sort of problem in the world. There's other people that have had this, that have survived, and I just need to find people that have that blueprint. So it's so important.
Yeah, it's easy. I think it's easy to swallow with the AA model, right? The reason why people that have been sober for 30 years go to an AA meeting it's to keep them sober, but to help the new guy, right? Yeah. So the new guy comes in and to see he's not alone, and to have that talking atmosphere, which is kind of how we originally were modeling the beginning of this. You just go in, and there's a group of guys that have been there, done that, and they can tell you, what they've, how they've experienced it, and gotten better, and but just giving them access to that. The military, they make it, by the time you're done in the military, you'll die for the guy next to you. He'll die for you. They get this bond, right? And then when the 4 years is up or whatever it is, one guy goes back to Arizona, the other guy goes to Arkansas, one's in New York, and now they are, like you said, isolated or alone, and depressed, and they don't have that So this is a way to put those teams back together, or just give access to it. So that's where we're heading with that with MechQuest. We're pushing forward to, the tools are here, they're just not built right yet. So we're tying all the new tech, and we decided people are going to go someplace that they're comfortable with, or that they can have fun. And another study from Nathaniel that I was telling you, the social media guy, is that this generation of warriors, their majority of them are gamers. So we want to put them in a place. Another thing is, we heard, if you could just get them out of the house and put them on the beach or in the mountains. So we're building snowboard surf. So we already have the environments. So
no matter where they are in the US, they can load up the game and do the VR and
globally
transport to another place. I mean, I do that a lot of times in video games. It gets me out of my head, and you kind of get sucked into the environment of whatever the game is, and you tune out. You hang out with some friends too. That's another important thing to do. That a lot of men do that with gaming now. They do it to hang out with friends and have a men's tribe. So they just like the cavemen did in the old days, we tribe up and go hunting together. So it kind of appeals to that sort of thing. But having that camaraderie and that social experience is really important as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What haven't we discussed and teased out that you guys are doing over there? Because you guys got a lot going on.
Yeah, we do. I come from a marketing background, and this is my favorite time of a project, right? So we went from don't tell anyone, to now we're in a sprint of let's go tell everyone. I would say if ever there was a time to start following us on our socials, we've got token drop coming very soon. We'll have digital items coming out very soon. The game Astro Bowl we're gonna start releasing a lot of beautiful art and little tidbits of how it's working. We're in the roadmap is basically token launch, pre-sale token launch, digital item for the game of Astro Bowl on cell phone, and then releasing the action verse after that. So it's sprint time, it's go time. That's why I really appreciate you letting me come on here. We're trying to get the word out, and so that's what we're doing. I mean, right now we've got a whole team that's in there building, and getting everything ready to get content out there to let everybody know what we've been building for the last 2 years. For us, it's a blockchain project, so there's that bear and bull market. So they say build in the bear market and release in the bull. And even though we've, seen a little dip right now, we believe, we're firm believers in the fact that we're in the beginning of a bull market, and it's going to go good for everybody. And the mass adoption of blockchain is inevitable. We don't go backwards, you go forwards. And with all the tools, I bought land in Mexico. It took me a month and a half to get the money wired and all the transactions and everything that had to be. We spent the same amount of money for a project build here. It was in it was in the Philippines at 2 a.m, and I paid them, and it was done and sealed, delivered within 30 seconds because I paid with Bitcoin, and it was like, it's open 24 hours a day. You don't have to go to the bank at, before 2. And, so the speed of it, the transaction rate, all the stuff that you can do, the fact that you can own everything in a game, you can own real estate in games now, you own your products, you can sell it. Kids are going to get lucky. They're going to get a one of a kind item, and it's going to be worth more than, so there's all sorts of just perks and fun stuff. And for a lot of the athletes, somebody breaks their leg or something like that, they're off the tour, it's done, but that doesn't make them less, loved, right? So this is a way to keep interaction going, for me, I'm a 90s kid, Generation X kid, right? So all the athletes that I had their posters on the wall, right? Bringing them back and sharing with the new generation, the first guy that did the first 360 air, or the first this or the first that, the historical aspect of it is also coming in there, where we're going to bring those stories. And, so we actually had 2 pro skaters on Zooms that we were bringing them on, and they had the same story, but the wrong person for each one. Is like talking about the first person doing a handrail, which is where you ollie up and, rail slide down this thing. And all 3 people were there, but one person said this guy did it first and the other one that. I was like, that's just, it's not big history like Pearl Harbor, but for a skateboarder, that's some history. And I would love to get those 2 together and hash out, but anyways, it's going to be a platform for things that we love. Right. And things that other people love. And so, we've got the music, the football, the surf, skate, snowboard, veteran help, and with all the new tools that are being built daily. There's so many projects like us that have, been for the last 2 years, and now they're coming out, and we're able to connect those together. And it's fun time.
Give people, as we go out, your final pitch out, tell them where they can onboard, how they can reach out to you to find out more information, and of course, be on the newsletter or more information, notifications for the launches of what you're doing.
Yep. So obviously the easy one is 2b3d.com for the website, but I would recommend 2b3d.com/links. That's going to give you everything. It'll give you the white paper to the whole company if you want to do some research on us. It's going to give you all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter. We're at 2b3d Inc. on Twitter. And that's also, I think Twitter and Telegram have been the two that we've been hitting the hardest at first. We'll be opening Discord soon. But yeah, Twitter is also a really good spot to check us out and keep up with the new stuff. It's going to be an action-packed 60 days. So good time to jump in, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rob, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Chris, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, brother. It was a good time, man. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, Charles, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss, one, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
That should have us out, Rob.